themselves. And former President Donald Trump, who now awaits sentencing after being convicted of those 34 charges in New York, told a big fat lie on Sunday when he said to Fox News that he never ever called his 2016 presidential campaign rival, Hillary Clinton, to be sent to jail. You remember when he used to lead rallies by saying, lock her up? And when he posted on what was then Twitter that Hillary Clinton should be put in jail, former President Trump has selective amnesia. He's saying that he never said that Hillary Clinton should be sent to jail. Hmm. Laura Trump, the co-chair of the National Republican Committee and daughter-in-law of Donald Trump, has slammed former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. She said after Hogan said that Americans should respect the verdict in the hush money trial. Well, Laura Trump has different ideas. She said that he does not deserve to be a senator from the state of Maryland. And one of the advisors to the Trump presidential campaign went even further and said that Hogan, who does have a chance of even winning, should end his campaign. Yes, because Hogan said that Americans should respect a jury verdict. The Republicans, at least those that are controlled by Donald Trump, says this Republican former governor should not be on the ballot to be a U.S. senator. And Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey, a lifelong Democrat who's in his fourth week of a federal bribery trial, well, he said today that he is running for re-election as an independent in November. He's giving up his Democratic stripes and says he is going to be on the ballot, but this time around as an independent. Well, this is by some creating a wider lane for the Republican nominee at a time when Democrats are struggling to retain their narrow majority in the Senate. We're going to talk about that and all of today's breaking news today because this is Areva Martin in Real Time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. In this hour, I'm joined by Ashley Banks. She's a journalist, formerly of the Griot, and she's going to be joining us from the Capitol. She has her finger on the pulse of what's happening in D.C., and she's going to be bringing us the real. Also in this hour is Isaac Wilson. He's a Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina. On his take on Robert Menendez saying he's going to run as an independent, even if it might hurt the chances of the Democratic candidate becoming the next senator of New Jersey. In an hour or two, you know what we do. That's the hour where we go deep, where we dig behind those headlines and bring you those stories people are talking about. Well, June kicks off Home Ownership Awareness Month. And we are kicking off this month talking about building generational wealth through home ownership. And we have an exciting duo joining us in hour two. This is the dynamic and influential real estate industry professionals, Marvetta Bozeman and Ronnie DeVoe. And they are known as the Wonder Twins of real estate. Now, you may know Ron DeVoe Jr. Because of his position in the legendary R&B group New Edition. Well, in addition to Ron's musical talents, he is an entrepreneur, and he's also very steeped in the world of real estate. He's the founder of DeVoe Real Estate. And Marvetta Bozeman is a real estate professional. She has been working in the industry for decades. She has a deep understanding of the complexity of the housing market. So today we're going to be talking about all things home buying, breaking down systemic and racial barriers, and using home ownership to create generational wealth. So if you own a home, if you're thinking about buying a home, or you live in a home, this is 1 hour you don't want to miss, because these dynamic real estate professionals are going to show you how it's done and how you can make money for future generations of your family by owning a home. So make sure you stick around for hour two. But before I bring on my guests, here's what I'm thinking about in real time. I was in San Francisco over the weekend, and a couple of things stick out for me on that weekend trip. One, I want to give a great big shout out to a good friend of mine, new friend, but still a very good sister friend. Her name is Tawn Hall. And Tawn is the co-founder of the Miles Hall Foundation. And Tawn is a fearless advocate around mental health and police violence. She and her family unfortunately lost their son, Miles, to police violence in 2019. Miles was a young man having a mental health crisis. The family called the police. The police arrived, shot and killed Miles in their family's home. Oh, such a tragedy. And Ton and her husband and her daughter have turned their pain into purpose. They are year five of starting and creating this amazing organization called the Miles Hall Foundation. They've been involved in substantial legislation in the state of California, creating a alternative responder system, the 988 system, to what we currently have, which is 911, when you call for assistance with someone with mental health issues. Her goal, like mine and many other advocates, is creating a world where people show up with knowledge and experience working with folks with mental health rather than with guns and tasers and things that can be physically harmful to those who suffer from mental health. You wouldn't show up if you got a call from a cancer patient with a gun. So, why are we showing up to calls involving individuals' mental health conditions with guns? So, a shout out to my friend Ton, a fabulous event. I had the honor of speaking on the program. They raised a lot of money for their first gala. It was at the Black Hawk Museum right outside of San Francisco. Well attended, well executed, and an incredible cause. So, again, keep on doing what you're doing, Ton. We see you, we love you, we support you, and we can't wait to see how big and how impactful the Miles Hall Foundation will become under your leadership. The other thing that happened for me while I was in San Francisco is I had an opportunity to observe what folks in the corporate media have called this overrunning of San Francisco with homeless people. So I got off the plane, got into my car, expecting to see homeless people literally, sleeping on the streets at the airport and sleeping on the streets under the bridges and just being everywhere. Because if you read the corporate media, you would think San Francisco has a horrific homeless problem that's so out of control that its mayor, first Black mayor, London Breed, should be replaced. And I'm here to tell you, after walking for over an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in downtown San Francisco in Union Square, I did not see this horrific, apocalyptic type experience that people have shared about San Francisco. I saw a city that was relatively clean, that had lots of tourists and lots of people walking around shopping and enjoying the beautiful weather. Yes, there were some homeless people, but no way, no way, no way, no way, was it to the magnitude that people would have you believe or suggest that Mayor London Breed has somehow, failed in her duties to the city. So that's my first observation about San Francisco. The second was this narrative that there's so much crime in Oakland, which is a sister city to San Francisco, so much crime that the mayor of Oakland, who was just elected less than 6 months ago, should be recalled. And the district attorney, Black female district attorney, should be recalled. There are actually recall efforts happening right now for the mayor, first Hmong American mayor to be elected, 37 years old, a domestic violence advocate, and African American female district attorney. And again, the reason they're being recalled, according to folks, is the crime in Oakland is so out of control that they need new leadership. Now, I don't live in Oakland. I don't want to profess to know more about Oakland than the residents that live there. But I was disturbed to learn that a lot of this was really spurred by the In and Out Burger, the fast food chain, closing its only location in Oakland, citing again robberies that happened in the line to buy your burgers and other crime around the In and Out Burger. And again, don't live in Oakland, haven't been to the In and Out Burger before it was closed, don't really know all the facts, but I do want to caution people about buying into these narratives that are perpetrated and disseminated in the corporate media. We heard the story last week that Red Lobsters were closing all over the country because they offered all you can eat shrimp, and people went into Red Lobsters and ate so much shrimp that it's bankrupting the companies and they had to file for a bankruptcy. Well, what we later learned was that the Red Lobster chain was owned by equity investors, and they sold all of the properties that the restaurants are housed in. And now the rental rates, the restaurants are having to pay rent for the restaurants, are so high that it is one of the main reasons they're having financial issues. Not the shrimp that you ate, I ate, or our relatives ate. So just be careful when you see these stories about crime being so out of control. We don't know. Maybe In N Out had a different strategic plan. They wanted to get out of Oakland. They only had one restaurant there, which raises questions about their commitment to that community to begin with. Or maybe there were other business reasons why they are closing, but it's just convenient to talk about crime, and particularly to talk about a crime in a city that is known for being a haven for Black folks. So again, not there, don't live there, just there for 2 days over the weekend, but smart enough and discerning enough to know that everything that we read in the corporate media is not accurate, and they're often alternative stories. And when you have an opportunity to learn those facts from people that do live in these communities, it's really important to do so. I sat down with the Human Rights Commissioner for San Francisco, happens to be a friend of mine, Dr. Cheryl Davis, and learned about things that happen in San Francisco that the mayor has done, which are phenomenal. So again, just want to say shout out to San Francisco. What I saw when I was there was incredible. I love London Breed. I love what she's done. I love the Human Rights Commissioner, Cheryl Davis. And I just applaud them for the great work that they have done in that city. When we come forward, today's breaking and trending news right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't touch that dial.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Single Moms Planet is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting under-resourced single mom business owners and working mothers nationwide. Single Moms Planet offers comprehensive programs of financial literacy, business development, mentorship, and entrepreneurial training. They provide education, accountability, and hope. Single Moms Planet was founded by model, TV personality, and producer Nefertiri Plessy. Nefertiri felt firsthand the challenges that face single moms as she was raised by a working single mother. She learned that the most disadvantaged group in the United States are single mom families. According to the U.S. Census, 30% live under the poverty line. So she decided to do something about it, along with co-founder Cole Patterson. Their goal is to end the poverty cycle in single mother households through education, opportunity, and networking, providing family and child enrichment programs for under-resourced single-parent families. Single Moms Planet serves over 10,000 single moms and their children each year. Studies show that business development and financial literacy provide a positive environment for children and families, exposing them to new possibilities and opportunities. To attend one of their fun events, make a donation, or get more information, or if you need help as a single mom, please visit singlemomsplanet.org. That's singlemomsplanet.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
What does it take on Alzheimer's? Awareness that nearly 2/3 of those diagnosed are women, including Black women. Dedication to lowering your risk by eating healthy and monitoring blood pressure. And confidence to talk to your healthcare provider about screening and early detection. You have what it takes to take on Alzheimer's. Learn about signs and screening at takeonalz.com. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Ooh, I'm so ready for this weekend away with my girls.
Hey, hit the road. How about some free gas?
Free gas? How?
Try new Febreze car for some serious freshness, and you can win gas for a full year. Visit Febreze.com to learn more.
Say less.
You may not win, but you're gonna have a fresh smelling whip.
Thanks, DJ Fresh. Now how about some music?
Hey, yo, this next one goes out to new Febreze car for giving you a chance to win free gas.
La 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 la.
No purchase necessary. Must be 18 to enter in 73124 for rules and how to enter. Visit Febreze.com.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more OSB sheathing. And there's more. Save 10% on select James Hardie products when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
We are back, and Ashley Banks is joining us. She is a political reporter and journalist, formerly of the Griot, and Isaac Wilson. He is a Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina. Thank you so much, Ashley and Isaac, for joining me. Isaac, last week, Menendez basically threw his wife under the bus by saying that these charges were her fault. And today he basically threw the Democratic Party under the bus, saying, I don't care if running as an independent hurts the Democratic candidate in this race and the Democrats lose the Senate because I've got to keep my little charade of a race going so I can raise money and keep using the money, not to really mount a serious campaign effort, but to pay my attorneys in this very serious federal bribery trial. What are Democrats going to do to crush Menendez? I formerly liked this guy, but today I'm like, really? Do you care so little about this country that you are putting your own personal issues before this election, which is going to be so critical to the Democrats maintaining the Senate?
I think after today and probably a couple of weeks ago, all of us Democrats are like, what are we going to do with this guy? And I think we've lost all respect for him. Somebody like Menendez does not need to be in office because it's only about self-greed and about them. And so we don't need people like that. So Democrats right now are going to have to find a formidable candidate to go after that seat, to push that candidate, to get those dollars to his area and make sure that he's not victorious in November. But also find some kind of law or something. Let us grab the mantle of law and say, hey, well, we're going to stick it to you. You can't run. You can't do this. But something has to be done because he can't serve and do things like that. And to throw your wife under the bus, it shows that you have no character and you're not a man within your marriage. You can't be a man for the people.
Yeah, Ashley, there already is a front runner for the Democratic Party, and that's Representative Andy Kim. And Andy Kim was rightfully quick to criticize Menendez for this stunt of saying he's running as an independent. What are you hearing from Washington, from other Democrats about this move on the part of Menendez to stay alive? Again, it just seems like a way for him to keep a campaign account open so he can continue to raise money. I don't know who's giving him money, but presumably someone to pay his legal fees because, he's not a rich man.
Yeah, essentially what Isaac was saying there, that's the consensus that some Democrats are just not happy with Bob Menendez. As we know, especially on the House side, the House of Representatives, Republicans, it's a circus. And the last thing that Democrats want is to showcase a circus and showcase that their members are not doing what they need to do for the people. House Democrats have pushed the same thing over and over again, that they are for the people and they want to be able to govern and push forward legislation. They want representatives who represent them well. And so essentially the consensus is once again the same. What Isaac is saying is that it's time for someone else to fill this position.
So I said he threw his wife in the party. I forgot to mention, Isaac, his own son. He has a son that's a congressman, Rob Menendez. And, what awkward position does this put him in, that his father is doing something that could be harmful to the Democratic Party, could be harmful, to our ability to maintain the slim majority that we have in the Senate. So here's this guy's son, 38 years old, and he's been trying to distance himself from his father's trouble. But at the end of the day, I can only imagine that the Dem leadership is going to the son saying, look, you need to get your daddy. You need to get him in check.
He has to do the right thing at this point. He has to do what our president is doing. My president is saying, well, I'm not trying to interfere in my son's trial. I'm going to support my son because that's my son. So he has to say, hey, that's my father. I'm going to support him where I can, but I cannot support what he's doing to put this company in jeopardy because we got work to do. And we need Joe Biden elected for the next 4 years, but we also need control of his House and his Senate to do the job. And so he has to be on the right side of history on this and say, hey, Dad, I love you, but I got to back away from you. And he has to support that other candidate.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. It's a hard conversation, obviously, for a 38-year-old to have with a 70-year-old man who you would think would know better, but it is a conversation nonetheless that I hope that Menendez's son does have with him. But speaking of Hunter Biden, Ashley, he did start this really kind of interesting trial, I'll call it, a trial where he's being charged for lying on a questionnaire to purchase a gun. And as Isaac said, Joe Biden has made it very clear that he is going to support his son and give him as much moral support as possible. The family has wrapped their arms around Hunter Biden. But does this trial starting, days after we get this historic 34 count conviction of Donald Trump, does this in any way minimize the Democrats' opportunity to use the Trump conviction as a way to, cause whatever voters that may have been on the fence to walk away? Are folks going to see some false equivalency that if Hunter Biden is convicted, somehow it's the same as having a convicted Donald Trump? Keeping in mind, Hunter is not running for any office, but Donald Trump is.
Absolutely. We know that the folks who are part of the, especially MAGA supporters, a part of the GOP, the extreme portion of the GOP, will see this as a false equivalency. Obviously, Hunter Biden is directly connected to Joe Biden being his son. And although he's not running for office, they're going to still see this as a reflection of the president. And they're going to say, since the president wasn't able to raise his son properly, how can he lead this country? And so essentially, like you said earlier, the president is doing everything he can to support his son. Even Joe Biden was there today during jury selection. And President Biden has stated that if his son is convicted, that he will not pardon him, although I'm sure in the future, if that were to take place, he may change his tune, because what father, if he's in power to do so, wouldn't pardon his son? But I could see the GOP using this as leverage, unfortunately. Although, once again, Hunter's not running for president. Donald Trump is running for president, right? And so is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not on trial here for doing anything wrong. Donald Trump, however, was found guilty last week, and he still has several other criminal cases ahead of him. But unfortunately, they are going to try to use this as leverage.
I hope, Isaac, that the Democrats figure out a way to use the support Joe Biden is giving to his son as to really talk about his character. Donald Trump's wife never stepped foot in that courthouse. His daughter that he loves more than life, Ivanka, never set foot in the courthouse. We saw Eric, we saw Don, we saw Tiffany, who's for all practical purposes the daughter nobody ever remembers. And even when they were there, it wasn't as if, there was any close connection or anything that would even tell you that they were related to the man, other than just knowing that from the public. Joe Biden and his family has made it crystal clear. This is our son. This is our brother. This is our uncle. And we are going to stand by him. And that used to mean something in this country, that if your child, Republicans who all have children, mostly have children in the Senate and Congress, if your child is going through something, even if it's horrific, you stand by that child because that's what family values are all about. But the Republicans instead have said family values don't matter. And if you don't agree to totally undermine our judicial system, i.e. Larry Hogan, you shouldn't even run for the Senate. So Laura Trump and others in the Trump camp came out strong this weekend after Larry Hogan, a pretty moderate Republican running for Senate in Maryland, said that people should respect the jury verdict. And that's typically what Republicans would say. And we know if Trump had been acquitted, all of these Republicans would have been telling everyone to respect the verdict. When we come forward, I want to talk about what party tells one of its members who could have a good shot of winning a particular key race like the Maryland Senate race to drop out simply because they will not support a lie. The lie being that somehow the jury got it wrong or that the jury process doesn't work in this country. More of today's breaking and trending news when we come forward right here on KBLA. Stay with us.
Right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Maryland Governor Wes Moore has ordered Maryland flags to fly at half staff until a murdered parole officer is laid to rest. 33-year-old Agent Davis Martinez was found dead recently in the home of a registered sex offender he was checking on in Chevy Chase. The suspect, 54-year-old Emmanuel Sewell, was arrested on a second-degree murder warrant near Hurricane, Virginia. Governor Moore, who is Black, says the entire state grieves the loss of Agent Martinez along with those he held dear. Conversations in Tennessee are expected to continue about transferring the power of the Shelby County Youth Justice and Education Center over to the Shelby County Juvenile Court. The county sheriff's office has been running it since 2015. However, it has no obligation to do so. Earlier this year, Black Sheriff Floyd Bonner said the intention was to transfer the operation to the juvenile court by the end of the year. No official date has been determined, and Shelby County commissioners are expected to address that at an upcoming meeting. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
A stolen West Covina has been cleared from the 10 East before Barranca Street, with a 15-minute backup running heavy from Peck Road. Santa Monica's traffic jam of 55 minutes continues on the 10 East between 20th Street and 14th. Over in Pasadena, a big rig-involved accident on the 210 East at Sierra Madre Villa Avenue, Madre Street interchange still remains on the right shoulder, and a 10 to 15-minute backup runs heavy from Mountain Seco Street interchange. And back in Rosemead, an accident's been cleared from lanes of the 60 East before Rosemead Boulevard, with heavy traffic that continues from Downey Road up to about 20 minutes.
Hey DQ fans, the ultimate cookie blizzard treat is the dessert that has it all. With Oreo, Chips Ahoy, and Nutter Butter, this blizzard treat has everything cookie lovers dream of. Don't wait, this one-of-a-kind confection won't be here long, only at participating DQ.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks continue to struggle. They fell to 2-6 in the WNBA after a 19-point loss at Phoenix. Next game for the Sparks is Wednesday night. The Dodgers are off today. They start a 6-game road trip tomorrow night at Pittsburgh. The Dodgers are 15 games over 500. The Angels play San Diego tonight in Anaheim, the first of a 3-game series. The richest contract in NFL history for a non-quarterback belongs to Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Minnesota signed Jefferson to a 4-year extension worth $140 million. $110 million of that deal is guaranteed. Jefferson's new contract will pay him an average of $35 million per season through 2028. The 4-year veteran has been one of the most productive receivers in the NFL since the Vikings drafted him in 2022. He's got 392 catches for 5,899 yards and 30 touchdowns. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant Black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Have you been a victim or witness to hate or discrimination? Contact the California vs. Hate hotline to report the incident by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. They'll help you access resources and support, including legal, financial, mental health, and mediation services. California vs. Hate is not affiliated with the police, and you can report anonymously. Use your voice. Report hate by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. Res Radio 91.3.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We're back, and Ashley Banks, a political journalist, formerly of the Griot, and Isaac Wilson, the Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina, are joining me in this hour. And in hour two, we are kicking off Home Ownership Awareness Month with a dynamic duo known as the Wonder Twins of real estate. It's Ronald Boyd DeVoe Jr., widely recognized as Ronnie DeVoe from New Edition, as well as Marvetta Bozeman. The two of them have teamed up and are teaching folks all over this country how to use home ownership as a way to build generational wealth. So make sure you stick around for hour two. A lot of news today, and just shocked by some of the comments that were made on the Sunday shows by those who were supporting Donald Trump, even after his 34 count conviction in that Manhattan, New York courtroom. Republicans who traditionally have stood for law and order, saying that the verdict was somehow improper, questioning our judicial system, questioning the jury's verdict. Ron DeSantis, who said that he's going to personally make sure Donald Trump is able to vote in Florida, although other convicted felons who live in the state of Florida are not allowed to vote, including those people who have served their time and paid their debt to society. They aren't given the right to vote. But Ron DeSantis says he's making sure that a personal exception will be made for Donald Trump. And we just watched Republicans step all over themselves, criticizing the jury verdict, criticizing our judicial system. And again, with such hypocrisy, because if he had been acquitted, we would have seen those same Republican lawmakers lauding our judicial process, lauding the jury. But in this case, we had Laura Trump and other advisors saying that Larry Hogan, who is a former governor and running for the U.S. Senate in the state of Maryland, and who would be a formidable challenger to the Democratic candidate, saying that he should drop out of the race, only because he said that the American people should respect the verdict. That's something that all lawmakers you would expect to say, but not so when it comes to Donald Trump. Ashley, I think the only word we can use today when we talk about Donald Trump is cult leader, because Republican lawyers, and these are folks who have been lawmakers, some for decades, who have always talked about supporting the law and supporting the rule of law in our judicial and our legal system, are now twisting themselves in knots, saying that somehow because Donald Trump didn't get a change of venue that no other defendant would have gotten in this case, because Michael Cohen was allowed to testify, which would have been the case with any other defendant, because Alvin Bragg is a Democrat, which is the reality of anybody being tried in Manhattan. There is a Democratic DA. Hello. But somehow, because of these reasons and some of the ones that are unspoken, i.e. Donald Trump's white privilege, that our judicial system doesn't work, and that if you are a true Republican, you've got to stand up and say it doesn't work. What do you make of these Republicans who are making these really ridiculous and hypocritical statements about the verdict?
Yeah, Areva, you're absolutely right. Republicans are the first people to say innocent until proven guilty, or, the verdict is correct, trust the verdict. What we saw happen with, for instance, Kyle Rittenhouse. They were just like, the verdict is what it is. He was proven to be innocent, and you guys have to accept that. But like you're saying here, obviously in their eyes, Trump is above the law, and they're coming out with every excuse as to why he could have lost this trial, as if the evidence wasn't enough to convict him. I don't know if you saw the video of Tim Scott where he basically blamed President Biden and said this was a political stunt and the reason why Trump lost. We had so many Republicans just falsely claiming that this trial was rigged, similar to what we saw with the voter fraud in 2020. I do want to point to an interview with Stephen Miller, the ex-White House aide to Trump. He went on Fox and he did this call to action for Republicans. And he basically said that Republicans, you can't just sit back and let this happen. You have to correct yourself. Correct the justice system. And so he laid out a couple of plans that he wanted lawmakers to do. He wants every Secretary of State to purge the voting rolls of non-citizens. He wants every Republican state attorney general to open investigations into voter fraud. He wants every House committee that's controlled by Republicans to use its subpoena power in every way necessary. And he's asking that every Republican district attorney to start every investigation that they can possibly start. And so he's laid out this plan, and we have folks who responded. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she tweeted over the weekend, basically, that Republicans need to do whatever they need to do to ensure that justice is served and to ensure that Trump is back in the White House and House members remain controlling of, the House of Representatives and take back control of the Senate. It's kind of scary, Areva, to see what's happening here. But like we said, justice is usually right when they're acquitted and it serves their benefit. But in this case, somehow Trump is above the law and he should not have been found guilty.
Well, Stephen Miller got what he asked for because Republicans are finding ways in the Senate, Isaac, to get revenge. So this whole plan that he's laid out for attorney generals and for lawmakers didn't fall on deaf ears. Folks are saying that they are vowing, folks being these Republican lawmakers in particular, to use every tool possible. And we see that with, Dr. Fauci, who spent hours being grilled only for there to be no evidence whatsoever of the absurd claim that somehow he was responsible for creating or, disseminating the COVID-19 virus. So these Republicans will waste our taxpayers' dollars, time, energy on these baseless investigations. I mean, baseless investigations. We've seen that with the impeachment of Joe Biden, trying to tie him to his business deals with his son, Hunter. And no matter how hard they tried, there is no evidence, but that doesn't stop them. How worried should we be that these Republicans are taking up the instructions that have been given to them by Trump, even though there is no support, there's no basis for these investigations, purging voter rolls, doing cheating. Let's just call it what it is. Let's just cheat. And the reason we're going to cheat is not to make the lives of Americans any better. We're going to cheat to get revenge because our cult leader has been held accountable. And when he gets held accountable, he dispenses his little minions out to get revenge. That's exactly what this is. But yet you have these otherwise credible Republicans like Cruz. I don't know, credible is a big word for him. Marco Rubio. It's hard to put credible with either, any of these names, but some of these folks before Trump, were thought to be fairly reasonable. But Isaac, how scary is this?
It's very scary. We have a president spewing Nazi Germany stuff and Hitler stuff. You have a whole plan that they say if they win in 2024, they have a 900-page pretty much manifesto of what they're going to do. And we have to start listening to these people. We got to stop calling them clowns and fool. We got to start taking up arms to say they're taking us back or trying to take us back to the 1940s and 50s and 60s. And we just can't have that happen. So we got to pay very close attention to that and got to start being serious with that. The other thing we got to look at is we got to start taking politics serious. There's a lot of us out there who saying that politics isn't this and isn't that. And your vote doesn't matter. Your vote is what got these people elected. To go out and vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene should be nowhere near politics, but yet she is. She can't even respect the man for his title in Dr. Fauci. And you have people that are standing up saying, hey, going against their own members saying, hey, we're not going to allow that. So we have to be very cognizant of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we got to take them at their word. Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
So to that point, so Larry Hogan, yes, no other reason than him saying, let's respect the rule of law, let's respect the verdict. Actually, Republicans said, get out the race. We don't care if you being in the race could mean we win Maryland and we win the majority. This is all about pleasing a person of one, not a party, but a person of one. How come Larry Hogan and other Republicans that support Larry Hogan, how come they haven't pushed back on Laura Trump's comment and Trump's advisors' comment that he should literally drop out of a race? Not like, let's see how we can help Larry Hogan beat, Angela Alsobrook because he's a popular former governor of the state. But they're saying, because you did not fall in line, because you did not say exactly what the leader of this party wants you to say, drop out of the race. Why isn't there more pushback from what I'm going to call more moderate centrist Republicans?
Areva, I don't think he needs to. Like you said, he's very popular. He was the governor of Maryland. He doesn't have to push back on Trump. He has pushed back on Trump in the past when it came to Trump's response to COVID. Hogan did what he needed to do when it came to the state of Maryland and making sure that he provided the right resources for citizens in that state. But when it comes to what Laura Trump said, he's deciding to just take the higher road. He doesn't need to stoop down to their level. He knows he's not dropping out of the race. He knows he has a good chance of winning the Maryland seat and being a moderate. That's why he's a moderate, because he's decided, I'm going to try to win.
Let me push back a little, Ashley. Yes, he probably doesn't need to for purposes of his voters, but it is because we Republicans, we Americans, allow Trump to act in this way that it normalizes his behavior and it emboldens them to just get more and more outrageous. So he may not need to, in the sense that it will hurt his campaign. But the more we allow them to act in this way, the more emboldened they become and the more they engage in these kinds of outrageous tactics, whether it's telling attorney generals to open up baseless investigations. That's a crime in and of itself. You can't just go and start investigating people without evidence. So basically, Stephen Miller's told them, go commit crimes. And the Republicans just say, okay, he told us, so we're going to do it. Think about that. And also think about this. Trump raised about $70 million, he says, and who knows, after the conviction. 141 million are what they are reporting for the month of June. And it's expected that June will be the second month that the Republicans outraise the Democrats, Joe Biden. Not that he's caught up with Joe Biden. Joe Biden has, been a money-raising juggernaut, but it is worth noting, as Isaac said, that Republicans who once said they would never support Trump after the insurrection, who supported DeSantis, supported Nikki Haley, are now, many of these billionaires, coming around and pledging to support Donald Trump and are pouring lots of money into his campaign. Could that spell trouble for Democrats in November? That and more when we come forward right here on KBLA. Stay with us.
Listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Medicare Fraud Prevention Week focuses on the actions everyone can take to prevent Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse. Learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones by joining the Senior Medicare Patrol, or SMP, for Medicare Fraud Prevention Week, June 3rd through the 9th. Learn more at snpresource.org or by calling 1-877-808-2468.
Did you know that streaming music, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more is available for free from the Los Angeles Public Library? With your library card, you can access the latest music and movies, audiobooks and ebooks, graphic novels, comic books, magazines, and more. If you don't have a library card and live in the city of Los Angeles, you can get a digital card online for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Isaac. Donald Trump is out there raising a lot of money on this conviction, and he's getting lots of folks who said they would never support him after the January insurrection back in the fold. Folks who have a lot of money. And this could mean that he's got lots of money for advertising, for ground game. Now we know a lot of it's going to go to his legal trouble, but he is, for the second month, they could outraise Joe Biden. What does this mean? And what do Democrats need to do to make sure that they have the money they need to run the kind of campaign we need to win?
I think we need to stay consistent in what we're doing. We're hitting the issues. We're getting in places that young people are. And we're raising the money. So we just need to keep on with the messaging, send these messages out, getting in front of people, telling the story of what Democrats are going to do and what we've done. And they've been doing a better job with that. Him raising money still doesn't take away the fact that he's a convicted felon and that he's probably going to go on house arrest. So he probably won't be traveling the country. So it doesn't change any of that. And it doesn't change the rhetoric. So you can spend all the dollars, but is it going to translate to votes? And I really don't think. I really believe this in the hearts of hearts that people do not want this country divided. The last time it was divided, we had people walking in the middle of the streets, dividing neighborhoods with tiki torches. We don't want that anymore. Some people may speak that rhetoric on TV, may give their money, but when they go cast their vote, I think they're casting their vote for not for Donald Trump and for Joe Biden.
Well, clearly money alone will not win campaigns. And we've seen lots of races where people have been outspent 10-1. Speaking of which, that Maryland Senate race, the Democratic candidate that lost to Angela Alsobrook, outspent her 10-1. He was a billionaire financing his own campaign. So we know, Ashley, that money alone doesn't, suggest who's going to win a race. But money is important. These races are very, very, very expensive. And we are starting to see some big name donors who had walked away from Donald Trump starting to walk back towards him, totally ignoring the conviction. Folks who said that if he was convicted, that would change their vote. I think there was a poll out this weekend, actually, that said 1 in 10 voters will be impacted or will not vote for Donald Trump now that he has been convicted. Have you seen any numbers otherwise? Because we heard a bunch of folks saying, well, if he's convicted, I won't vote for him. So I was shocked to see that number was only 1 in 10.
Yeah, I mean, like you stated earlier in the show, Areva, it's a cult. People who follow Trump MAGA supporters. They're part of a cult. He's like a cult leader. So essentially, just because he was convicted doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to drive them away. As we know, a lot of people who are Trump supporters have simply said, once again, the trial was rigged. And so they don't even believe that he had a fair trial and that justice was served. So that's not going to stop them from voting for Trump. But I am concerned, and I know Isaac was talking about this, that Democrats really need to focus on younger voters. We know that when it comes to foreign affairs issues like what's happening in Israel and Gaza, that younger voters were kind of on the fence about what they're going to do. These voters did not want to vote for Donald Trump, but they were upset with the response of the Biden-Harris administration. And some of them were stating that they weren't sure if they could support Biden, given that more than 35,000 Palestinians have been killed in this conflict. And so it is important that Democrats are speaking to younger voters and letting them know, hey, you may not agree with the Biden-Harris administration here, but do you really want Donald Trump in office? Given the chaos that he brings, given the chaos that his members bring. Do you really want this? Because what we've seen, especially in these last couple of years, is when it comes to Congress, things are not moving on behalf of Black and brown folks in this country. And so it is important to make sure that Democrats are targeting younger voters. But once again, when it comes to Donald Trump supporters, I really don't think he's going to lose the support he's been receiving.
Yeah, I guess there was never a hope that the MAGA crowd, as you said, who are just committed to him no matter what, he literally could shoot that person in the middle of Fifth Avenue. But, there were all these so-called independent voters and these, again, Nikki Haley voters and other Republican voters who, Paul Ryan being one, the former Speaker of the House, who said he would not vote for Donald Trump. Not that he would vote for Joe Biden, but if there is a large enough number of Republicans who refuse to vote for Donald Trump, that could be important in this race. As we know, there will be Democrats who are saying they can't vote for Joe Biden over the Gaza war. Before we get out, let's talk about Sheila Jackson Lee, Isaac. She is a very influential Democrat from the state of Texas. She ran for mayor of Houston. She didn't win that race, but she did get reelected very recently to serve again in Congress, representing the folks who live in Houston. And she now has reported that she has pancreatic cancer. She's 74 years old. She's been in the House nearly 3 decades. She's been, an incredible voice, and she's not dead. So I don't want to suggest that she's dead. She says she's going to fight this. But is there any concerns about, if she does get sick or if she does have to take time off for treatment, given the numbers that we already have in Congress and given the slim majority that the Republicans have? Every voice is so important on these votes. You have any concerns about what her unfortunate illness, and obviously we are praying for her healing, praying for her recovery, but what it might mean for the Congress?
It's definitely a tremendous loss. All my thoughts and prayers are with her, but it's a tremendous loss to not have her every day. Although she said she will be there for the important votes, but she is a giant of a voice for America, not just Texas, but for America. She's a giant voice. So it's going to hurt us a little bit because on some of those issues that we probably don't even know about or not fighting about, she's being the voice for those issues and speaking up about them. So not to have her every day is really going to hurt us. And they're going to try to sneak everything they can while she's gone and not being there every day. They're going to try to sneak what they can through Congress.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working closely with the Congresswoman on issues of reparations. She's been a voice on that issue after the passing of John Conyers. She has hosted seminars and workshops around the country. She hosted a panel that I spoke on at the Congressional Black Caucus last year. So again, praying for the speedy recovery for our great Congresswoman. We are out of time. Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you so much, Isaac. Always a pleasure to be in conversation with both of you. Make sure you stick around. Hour 2, we're going to be talking about building generational wealth through home ownership. And how a musical legend and musical talent is using his entrepreneurial spirit to help folks buy homes and to create wealth. When we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580, we're talking about home ownership as we kick off Home Ownership Awareness Month. Stay with us.